I'm Judith Maria and welcome to ST Global News. From the man pleading guilty to killing a Catholic priest in Nebraska in December 2023 to the French government releasing coins featuring Notre Dame Cathedral, we have many stories to cover. The December 2023 rectory murder of Father Stephen Gutzel has concluded with a guilty plea. Deputies charged Kierell Williams in a fatal attack on parish priest of St. John the Baptist in Nebraska, who died after being found stabbed on church grounds. Man pleads guilty of fatally stabbing Nebraska Catholic priest Father Stephen Gutzel and other charges. Father Stephen died after he was stabbed in an attack that took place in the rectory next to the church in December 2023. He was serving as a parish priest at St. John the Baptist Parish in Fort Calhoun, Nebraska. Deputies charged Kierell Williams in the attack. Williams filed a notice in December 2023 that he would argue he is not responsible for the murder by the reason of insanity and filed a not guilty plea in February 2024. He changed his plea to guilty of murder, burglary, and weapons charge on October 21st. Scott Vanderscaff, county prosecutor, shared that they are glad that Mr. Williams chose to hold himself accountable and not to put Father Stephen's family, friends, relatives, or this community through a trial. On the morning of December 10th, 2023, Father Stephens called 911 to report that a man had broken into his home and was in the kitchen armed with a knife. A deputy arrived at the parish rectory around 5 a.m. as detailed in an affidavit. The priest was found with severe facial lacerations and was bleeding heavily, while Williams, aged 43, was found lying across Father Stephen's chest. Authorities noted additional cuts on the priest's face, hands, and back. He was then transported to a hospital in Omaha, where he later died. Investigators have found no connection between Williams and the priest in the small town of 1100 residents. Prosecutors made an early decision not to seek the death penalty in the case. Williams is facing a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. His sentencing is scheduled for November 12th. The story of Juman al-Khawazmi is a testimony of faith over evil. The daughter of one of the founding members of Hamas and once married to one of its members, she was raised in Gaza to hate Israel, kill Jews, and curse Christians. However, God still called her out of that environment, leading this young woman to embrace faith and hope in Jesus Christ through a supernatural encounter. Juman al-Khawazmi had deep ties to the Palestinian terrorist group Hamas. Her father was one of the founders of the Islamic extremist group, and she was also married to a Hamas member in Gaza. Born and raised in Qatar within a family deeply rooted in Hamas ideology, al-Khawazmi said she was taught from childhood to view Israel, Jews, and even Christians as enemies. In an interview with Christian Broadcasting Network, she shared that they were taught that the Quran commands them to kill Jews. She explained that even Jesus will come back and fight with them, breaking the cross and killing the pig, while the trees and rocks will call out to Muslims, saying, "O Muslim, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill." After marrying a Hamas member and moving to Gaza in 2002, al-Khawazmi spent more than a decade living under the group's rule. When Hamas seized control of Gaza in 2007, she witnessed their brutality firsthand. As they killed fellow Palestinians to secure their power, she observed that their goal was to instill fear in everyone else unless they submitted to Hamas's authority. Reflecting on her experiences with Hamas and her efforts to follow Islam, she explained, quote, "Islam does not bring peace. You are constantly afraid that something bad will happen," end quote. By 2012, her disillusionment had deepened into a full-blown spiritual crisis. Battling anxiety about salvation and feeling caught in a constant cycle of fear, she began to doubt her faith. Her prayer was answered 2 years later. During an intense Israeli airstrike in July 2014, al-Khawazmi had a dream encounter with Jesus. She saw her late mother standing with her on a balcony. The moon became huge and bright, and suddenly the face of Jesus appeared. He spoke in Arabic, quote, "I am the God, Jesus, you are my daughter." daughter. Do not be afraid, end quote. When she woke up, the room was filled with light. For the first time in her life, she felt loved. She turned into the internet for answers and got connected with an Egyptian Christian ministry, where she first encountered her Bible verse, "Love your enemies." For all her life, she had been taught to fight unbelievers, and here was a God who commands love even for enemies. That changed her entire perspective. Today, Al-Khawazmi is an outspoken critic of Hamas, accusing the group of betraying the very people it claims to defend. Al-Khawazmi now urges Muslims to think critically about what they had been taught. She encourages them not to be afraid to ask questions and to use the mind God gave you, asserting that Hamas is not protecting Gaza but is destroying it from within. She further stated that she believes Jesus deeply loves Muslims and wants them to be free from fear. She urged them not to be afraid anymore, emphasizing that they should put their eyes on Jesus and believe. She concluded by proclaiming that He is the way, He is the only way, He is the greatest man ever, no one else. The Catholic Diocese of Metuchen in United States is preparing to explore the potential canonization of Daniel Mark Andrell, a devoted daily mass attendee at the Catholic University of America. Daniel was tragically killed in 2020 while bravely defending his parents at their New Jersey home. The assailant, an attorney with a legal case pending before Daniel's mother, a federal judge, shot him at their doorstep. The Catholic Diocese of Metuchen is set to study the possibility of opening a sainthood course for Daniel Andrell. Daniel, a daily mass-going student at the Catholic University of America, was shot and killed on July 19, 2020 at the doorstep of his home in New Jersey by an attorney who had a pending legal case before his mother, a federal judge. Bishop James Chechio of Metuchen, who was recently named coadjutor bishop of New Orleans, explained in a September 30th letter that his decision was made in response to petitions from the parishioners. He shared that after a prayerful consideration, he has decided to establish a diocesan committee to explore the request to look into the sainthood course of Daniel Mark Andrell. He has asked 4 of the diocesan canonists to begin the process of research of what is required from the diocese. Daniel was the only child of his parents. After Daniel's death, John Garvey, then president of the Catholic University of America, expressed, quote, "We all mourn and grieve this loss to our university community," end quote. The university chaplain held a memorial mass for Daniel and his parents, and a scholarship fund was created in his honor. The following year, a plaque commemorating him was placed at the entrance of the law school. In 2021, his mother shared with the media that Daniel had planned to pursue a career in law. Daniel's tragic death prompted the US Congress to pass the Daniel Andrell Judicial Security and Private Act in 2022, which grants privacy protections to federal judges. The 2025 Netherlands general election, held on 29 October, resulted in a dramatic tie between Geert Wilders' far-right Party for Freedom and the centrist pro-EU Democrat 66, with each party securing roughly 26 seats in the 150-member House of Representatives. D66, led by Rob Jetten, emerged as the biggest winner of the night, nearly tripling its number of seats.
In a stunning upset, centrist Liberal leader Rob Jetten's D66 party is locked in a razor-thin race with Geert Wilders' anti-immigration Freedom Party, both parties capturing around 26 seats in the 150-member House of Representatives. D66, led by Rob Jetten, made the night's biggest gain, nearly tripling its representation, while Wilders' PVV lost ground after months of controversy over immigration and coalition instability, with most mainstream parties refusing to partner with PVV. D66 is now favored to lead complex coalition talks. The Labour-Green Alliance and the Conservative VVD trailed behind, gaining roughly 20 and 18 seats respectively. Analysts say the result marks a set for Europe's populist surge as Dutch voters lean towards centrist and pro-climate policies. Coalition negotiations are expected to take weeks as the country seeks a stable governing majority.
Ireland's postal service has unveiled a new postage stamp honoring Monsignor Hugh O'Flaherty, the Irish priest celebrated for rescuing 6,500 Jews in the Nazi-occupied Rome during the Second World War. Known as the Pimpernel of Vatican, his daring mission saved countless lives. The stamp marks the 100th anniversary of his ordination and commemorates his enduring legacy of courage and compassion.
The Irish Postal Service has released a commemorative stamp marking the 100th anniversary of Monsignor Hugh O'Flaherty's ordination, honoring his heroism in saving thousands of Jews during World War II. The launch took place in Dublin, recognizing the Kerry-born priest's extraordinary humanitarian efforts in Nazi-occupied Rome between 1943 and 1944. Ordained in Rome in 1925, he served as a Vatican diplomat across several nations before taking up a role in the Holy Office. According to the Catholic news agency, O'Flaherty sheltered an estimated 6,500 Jews, Allied soldiers, and refugees in monasteries, convents, Vatican living quarters, and even Castel Gandolfo before smuggling them to safety. Despite the constant threat from the Gestapo, he continued his clandestine operations, often disguising himself to move freely outside Vatican walls. His defiance made him one of the most wanted men in Rome. Reports noted that Nazi Commander Colonel Herbert Kappler repeatedly failed to capture him. After the war, he reportedly visited Kappler in prison every month and eventually baptized him into the Catholic faith. Postal officials described the stamp as a tribute to one of Ireland's greatest moral figures. The courage of the cleric, inspired by the 1983 film The Scarlet and the Black, starring Gregory Peck. O'Flaherty's story, chronicled by historians and the Dictionary of Irish Biography, remains a powerful reminder of faith and bravery amid humanity's darkest hours.
A quiet moment of prayer by the Polish pianist Piotr Pawlak ahead of his semi-final performance at the prestigious 2025 Chopin competition in Warsaw recently captured global attention. Cameras caught the 28-year-old making the sign of cross and reaching for his rosary backstage, a gesture Pawlak says is simply part of who he is.
Accomplished Polish pianist and conductor Piotr Pawlak publicly witnessed to his Catholic faith before his semi-final performance at the 2025 Chopin competition in Warsaw. Moments before his performance on October 11th, at one of the most prestigious stages in the classical world, Pawlak took out his rosary, made the sign of the cross and prayed. His performance earned him second prize in the competition, which was viewed by millions of people worldwide. The 27-year-old pianist told OSV News that it was an absolutely natural thing for him to pray before every performance. Pawlak remarked that he doesn't ever hide his faith from his audience. He grew up in a Catholic home and his mother taught him to pray. Even now, despite his busy concert schedule, Pawlak occasionally plays the organ at his parish church in Gdansk. Nothing bad can come from showing your faith publicly, he stated. Chopin competition, held every 5 years in Warsaw since 1927, is one of the world's most prestigious and demanding contests devoted entirely to the music of iconic Polish composer Frédéric Chopin. Pianists who take part in the international Chopin competition are considered the best in the world.
France is issuing a €2 commemorative coin featuring Notre Dame Cathedral, which was destroyed by fire and later restored, to honor the artisans involved in the restoration process. The cathedral, which had lost its spire and roof in an April 2019 fire, reopened on December 7th of last year after restoration work was completed. A special €2 coin commemorating Paris's Notre Dame Cathedral will enter circulation this week, with 20 million of the coins set to be released in total. The coins minted by Monet de Paris shows a striking image of the recently built cathedral on their relief. According to the Daily Le Parisien, on October 28, the Paris Mint recently produced a €2 coin depicting the facade of Notre Dame Cathedral. The cathedral, which lost its spire and roof in a fire in April 2019, was reopened on December 7, 2024. That's all for today. Until we meet again, God bless and thank you.